Hey everyone, I've spent a lot of time with the OnePlus 13 and the S25 Ultra. I really like both of these phones, so let's pit them up against each other and see which one's probably best for you. So I absolutely love both of these phones, but none of them are perfect, and in an ideal world I'd probably blend features from both of these into one to make the perfect smartphone. So both phones have 256GB of storage, the Samsung has 12GB of RAM, and so does the OnePlus, and they're both using the latest Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, which is an absolute beast. So in terms of design and build, both phones feel really good. The OnePlus is a little bit lighter, and the Samsung does feel a little bit more premium with a titanium frame and a little bit of extra weight. So the S25 Ultra has more of a blocky utilitarian look at the back, but there's something really special about this OnePlus 13, especially in this midnight blue finish. This is the first phone I've owned with a sort of vegan microfiber back, and I'm absolutely a fan. It's just beautiful. So the OnePlus 13 is a really beautiful device, and I've actually had a lot of people come up to me and ask what phone that is. With the Samsung and its design language, it's super easy to identify, and it's a really good looking phone as well. But in terms of design and feel, I think I'm swayed by the OnePlus 13. There's something about how it feels in the hand with the subtle curves on the corner and the screen which sort of make it nicer to use and more comfortable. So the S25 Ultra has an IP68 rating against water and dust ingress, while the OnePlus 13 takes it a step further by having an IP68 and IP69 rating. Nice. So in terms of the display, both of these phones have some phenomenal looking panels. They're big and bright and super vibrant. So Samsung goes with a flat panel, while OnePlus is also relatively flat with slight curves on all the sides of the display. This makes the OnePlus feel better while using the phone and navigating the interface. So both of these panels get really bright, and I don't think we have to dig into the nitty-gritty specs, but basically they're fantastic indoors and outdoors in the bright sunlight. You won't have an issue whatsoever. I will say though that the auto brightness seems to work a lot better on the Samsung, so I hope OnePlus can work on this in an update. So where Samsung definitely scores some extra points is in that anti-reflective display they use. I was a huge fan of that since the S24 Ultra, and it makes quite a noticeable difference when viewing content. So it's not a deal breaker at all for the OnePlus, but I really do hope more of these phone manufacturers use these anti-reflective displays in the future. The LED slider is a pretty cool feature on the OnePlus, and I use it quite often. It's just a quick way to change sound profiles, and it's handy, and it's not like it's hard to go into the settings to do, but it's just a nice quick way of getting things done. I've also heard rumors that OnePlus will replace this with a quick action button at some point, and I still think that would be quite handy, so I'm all up for it. You also get an IR blaster, which is super handy, and I wish more flagship phones had this because I actually found good use for it. On the other hand, the S25 Ultra has an S Pen. Some people find it useful, others will use it once a year. I'm in the team that finds it pretty useful though. So when I was daily driving the OnePlus 13, there was about 3 instances where the S Pen would have come in super handy, but I didn't have access to it then, so I had to use the one on my wife's S23 Ultra. That's the point, I really did miss it quite a bit. Again, it's not something I will use super often, but when the time comes, it's nice to know that it's there. Both phones also had pretty good speakers too, but I felt that the sound from the S25 Ultra was a bit fuller, if that makes any sense. So I'm no audio buff, but from what I heard, I'd say the S25 Ultra speakers sounded slightly better than the OnePlus 13s. So when it comes to the basic stuff like call quality, both of these phones are perfectly fine. Also remember, there's no expandable storage in any of these phones, so if you do need a phone with more storage, then you need to buy that from the get-go. So there are a few really good quality of life improvements with the OnePlus 13 that I absolutely love. So they're using a new silicon carbon battery technology, and with that technology they managed to fit an insanely big 6000 mAh battery into this OnePlus 13 without making it so much thicker. The Samsung has a 5000 mAh battery, which is still big, but it does use older lithium-ion technology, and it would have been nice to see Sammy innovate a little bit with battery tech like the Chinese manufacturers are doing now. So apart from having the bigger battery, the OnePlus 13 charges so damn fast with 100-watt SuperVOOC charging. It's literally changed my charging habits, and I no longer have to leave my phone plugged in and charging overnight. I could be at 20% battery in the morning and not even have charging anxiety. Just plug it in for 15 minutes and I'm good to go for the day. I absolutely love the battery life on the OnePlus 13. With my super heavy usage, it can easily take me throughout a day, and if I use it a bit lightly, I can easily squeeze out 2 days from it, which is pretty damn good. But don't get me wrong, the battery life on the S25 Ultra is pretty good too, but I did find myself reaching for the charger earlier than the OnePlus, and the charging just isn't fast enough for a $1,000 flagship. So I really hope next year Samsung can really push up the battery tech and charging tech, but I'm not holding my breath. The OnePlus definitely takes a win in my books for battery life and charging speed, so if endurance is a priority for you, then consider the OnePlus 13. It's honestly been so hard to choose which phone I'd prefer to use as my daily driver because each of them have its own set of strengths which I really like. So after using both phones quite extensively, in my personal opinion, I feel that One UI 7 edges out Oxygen OS 15 just by a bit. So don't get me wrong, Oxygen OS 15 is a great experience and it's feature-packed and smooth with lovely animations, but One UI 7 just feels really refined, and dare I say that the S25 Ultra felt a tad bit snappier than the OnePlus 13 for me, which is something I didn't expect. Another thing is I felt that apps were better optimized on the Samsung with less glitches and issues. It's just a minor thing, but it all adds up to a nicer user experience. So both OSs pack in a ton of features, but Samsung literally throws in the kitchen sink, and even if you won't use half of these features, it's nice to know that they're there. I also quite like Samsung's Now bar in One UI 7. It's a nice convenient way to see information or change songs, and it's placed at the bottom, which makes it quite easy to use. So both phones absolutely smashed it in terms of gaming. These phones will play whatever game you throw at them, and they actually didn't get too hot when gaming, which was great. And as usual, both phones are packed to the brim full of AI features. You get all the usual Google smarts like Circle to Search and Gemini, page summarizers, the ability to transcribe voice recordings, AI object removers in the Photos app, and so on. Some people use all the AI stuff, others hardly do. And Samsung has a few extra AI things like Sketch to Image, which is a bit of fun and the kids really enjoy that quite a bit. So in my opinion, the Samsung will take the win for the more refined software. That doesn't mean the OnePlus isn't good. It's still a fantastic operating system, and I think OnePlus has a nicer always-on display and lock screen transitions, which is nice for a little bit of customization and making your phone feel a little bit more unique. So honestly, I don't think you'll be disappointed with any option. So now it's on to the part that really tears me in both directions. It's the cameras. They both have really capable camera systems and high quality optics, and just to run through quickly, the OnePlus 13 has a triple 50 megapixel camera setup, which is great, and the telephoto lens is a 3x. So the Samsung has a quad camera setup with a 200 megapixel primary lens, a new 50 megapixel ultra-wide lens, a 10 megapixel 3x lens, and a 50 megapixel 5x lens. The photos from both of these phones are really good, and they both have different styles of processing. But with the primary camera, the photos were pretty comparable and the colors on both look quite nice in my opinion. The ultra-wide photos were also very nice on both phones, and Samsung's new 50 megapixel ultra-wide sensor was a great step up from last year's S24 Ultra, and the photos finally get a lot more detail. In terms of the 3x camera, I think it was a clear win for the OnePlus 13. I felt that the pictures had a lot more detail on the OnePlus, and Samsung really should work on upgrading the 3x camera next year. The 5x lens in the Samsung took some really nice photos and the quality was excellent. Now, where I tended to lean a bit more on the side of the OnePlus was in the portrait photography. I felt like the photos in the OnePlus 13 were a little bit moodier, and I liked that extra bit of contrast, and I also felt that the photos on the OnePlus retained a lot more detail than the Samsung's. The thing is that the look and feel of pictures is subjective, and some people might tend to like the Samsung's ones a little bit more, which is fine. The one feature on the OnePlus 13 camera that I'm an absolute fan of is the snapshot feature. I did a short video on this earlier, and basically I have kids and there's so many times that I've tried snapping photos of them playing or moving and just ending up with a blurry mess of shots. And with the snapshot feature, I just tap to activate and click away, and I get a whole bunch of sharp action shots, which is awesome. So yeah, if one of your priorities is taking pictures of your fast moving kids or pets, then the snapshot feature on the OnePlus 13 is awesome. In terms of zoom capability, both max out at 120x, and even though the OnePlus only has a 3x lens, it held up quite well when zooming in. At 120x, AI kicks in super heavy on both phones, but it's still cool for zooming into faraway signboards or something. So both phones are capable of shooting some pretty nice looking video. The footage on the OnePlus looks good, but I feel that the Samsung video has better stabilization overall. And here is a 4K 60 frames per second on the ultra-wide camera, both looking pretty good with good stability. And here's a 3x camera at 4K 60 frames per second. Samsung can also shoot 4K 60 frames on the 5x lens, so this is what that looks like. So both phones can also shoot 8K 30fps, which is cool, and the footage looked pretty good on both, I think. So one thing that was super disappointing about the OnePlus 13 was the lack of 4K 120fps video recording. I remember I had that feature all the way back in my OnePlus 9 Pro, which was quite a few years ago, so I'm actually quite surprised this phone doesn't have that. I really hope they can sort of add that on a software update or something, because it was a really cool feature. I really liked that video mode, and I used it quite a bit to capture some high quality slow motion footage. Samsung has that on the S25 Ultra in the slow-mo mode, and it's great. And Samsung also has some nice new features like the smooth zoom slider and the audio eraser to remove or reduce unwanted sounds, and it works quite well. They both also have portrait video mode, and the Samsung lets you record portrait video at UHD 30 frames per second, but unfortunately on the OnePlus, when you select this mode, it drops the quality to FHD at 30 frames per second. Again, I really hope they can upgrade these features on the OnePlus 13 because it's definitely not a hardware issue. So both phones are pretty well matched at the 3x mark in video recording, but Samsung really starts to shine when you push past that point. OnePlus still did a decent job up to 6x, but then the quality difference in the Samsung is night and day. So in my opinion, when it comes to video, the Samsung S25 Ultra definitely takes the win over the OnePlus 13. So if photography is important to you, then both of these phones will do an absolutely amazing job, but it just sort of depends on the style and feel that you're after. But if you want the more well-rounded and capable camera system for photography and videography, then the Samsung S25 Ultra will be the better choice in my opinion. So both of these phones trade blows in a lot of different areas, but one thing that could be important to you in considering which one is better for you is the price. The OnePlus 13 is almost $300 cheaper than the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, and it's a pretty big difference, and it's super impressive that OnePlus can create a device with all these sorts of capabilities and specs for a lot less. So I'm sure you can't deny that the OnePlus 13 is the overall better value device for most people. But if you just want an absolute all-rounder phone which ticks every single spec and feature box and you have a bit more money to spend, then the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra is the one for you. So personally this year I think I'm going to daily drive the OnePlus 13, and that's more so for the quality of life improvements I spoke about before. The battery life and fast charging are an absolute win for me. And I sort of prefer the photos more and the processing on the OnePlus 13. If Samsung shows some good upgrades on the battery and charging tech next year, then I might just jump back in, but then again we shall see what OnePlus does to counter that. So tell me, which of these phones do you think will suit you a lot better? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching everyone, and if you liked the video then please consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.